of glucose in our body is not actually the muscle, no? Not your liver, not your what? GIT, but it is your glucose, no? Ayan, so napaka-importante po that you have a readily available glucose in your circulation, no? So para yung brain natin, meron siyang ready source of energy, no? Ayan. So as mentioned before, so glucose is a monosaccharide, no? It is a simple sugar, no? Making it, ayun nga, a ready source of ATP in our body, no? So since simple sugar lang siya, hindi na siya kailangan convert to a much simple form, no? Para ma-utilize siya as source of energy. Yan. So there are two methods again that is used for measuring glucose. So number one, yung chemical method, no? Ayan. Example is the method that we performed last time, the condensation method, no? So specifically that is called as the Dubosky method or the Orto-Tolvidin method, no? And the other one is the uh, uh, oxidation reduction method, no? Using the ferric chloride. Yan. So uh, actually the chemical method is superseded already by the enzymatic method, no? Mas specific na po, no? Ang tinatawag natin na enzymatic method. And it do not use reagents that are corrosive, no? Highly toxic, even carcinogenic. Kasi sabi natin yung orthotolvidin, that is a primary aromatic compound na known carcinogen. So naiiwasan yung mga bagay na yun when you use the enzymatic method, no? Enzymatic method is the commonly performed method in glucose determination, no? Ayan. So under the enzymatic method, we have the hexokinase. Actually, the hexokinase is the reference method for glucose determination, no? Number two is the glucose dehydrogenase, and number three is the glucose oxidase, no? So the glucose oxidase is the principle that we will follow, no, in our experiment for today. Ayan. Next. The accurate estimation of glucose or the blood sugar is important in the diagnosis and also management of hyperglycemia. When we say hyperglycemia, so that's a medical condition wherein there is a high glucose level into the blood. No? Ayan. So technically, when we say hyperglycemia, the value of glucose is 126 milligrams per deciliter and above. No? Above 126 milligrams per deciliter. No? Pero actually, pag tumaas na ng reference range yung glucose, no? Just like for example, last time to the Dubosky method, its upper normal limit is 110. Kasi ang normal raw sa Dubosky, sa propane na ginamit natin is 65 to 110. So beyond 110, considered na siya as hyperglycemia. No? Pero technically, that is 126 milligrams per deciliter. No? And hyperglycemia is one of the classical symptoms of the chronic degenerative disease, the diabetes mellitus, no? And the DM na sinasabi natin. So pag sinabing diabetes mellitus, so that's a endocrinal disorder, no? That's a problem into the endocrine system wherein the body is not producing enough level of the hormone insulin. Kulang ka sa insulin. And that insulin is the one that promotes the entry of glucose to the cell. Pinapapasok niya yung glucose sa loob ng cell. No? Kulang siya nun. Kaya ang nangyayari, yung glucose stay on the or in the circulation. No? Nasa blood vessel lang siya. Hindi siya nakakapasok ng cell. No? Ganun po ang nangyayari in diabetes mellitus, no? So mataas ang blood sugar mo into the circulation, into the bloodstream. Pero yung mga cells mo nagugutom, no? Kasi nga yung mga glucose hindi makapasok ng cell because of the deficiency of the insulin, no? So aside from hyperglycemia, ano pa po ba ang symptoms of diabetes mellitus? O meron tayong tinatawag na 3Ps. Ano po ba yung 3Ps? Sinabi natin three P's, that is, number one, polyphagia, no? Frequent eating, no? You always experience hunger. Why? Kasi nga yung mga cells mo, gutom na gutom, no? So even if you have a high level of glucose to the circulation, hindi siya makapasok ng cell. Kaya nagugutom yung mga cells mo, no? So ang tendency, ang mangyayari sa iyo, kakain ka ng kakain, no? Kaya lang kahit anong kain mo, hindi ma-satisfy yung hunger mo, no? Kasi nga yung glucose hindi siya makapasok ng cell. No? That's number one, polyphagia, frequent eating. Number two is polydipsia. No? When you say polydipsia, that is excessive thirst. Lagi ka nauuhaw. Baka lagi ka nauuhaw, no? Lagi kang parang gutom na gutom. That's a sign of diabetes na. No? Yan. Bakit ka ba nauuhaw? Oh, that is because of the hyperosmolality of the blood. No? Tumataas yung mga solutes mo into your blood. Oh, to that solute, that includes the glucose. Masyadong mataas yung glucose sa blood, kaya tumataas yung tinatawag natin na osmolality. No? Kumbaga, nagiging malapot yung dugo natin. No? Oh, as a response of the body, dahil mataas yung osmolality, no? Ma-activate niyan yung thirst mechanism natin. May tinatawag na thirst or pagkauhaw. No? Dahil nauuhaw ka, anong normal na response mo dyan? You will drink water. No? Iinom ka, syempre. Para ma-dilute yung osmolality into your, hyperosmolality into your blood. No? And that's normal. Kasi nga tumataas yung osmolality. Kailangan mong ma-dilute yung solutes into your blood. And as a result, dahil nga inom ka ng inom, it will lead to polyuria. No? Polyuria is the frequent urination. No? Dahil inom ka ng inom, tendency, ihi ka naman na ihi. No? Like for example, pagkagabi, ilang beses ka ba umiihi sa gabi? No? Ilang beses ka bumabangon ng kama mo para umihi? Baka 3, 4, or 5 times a night yan. No? That's already polyuria. No? Anong tawag pagkagabi ang polyuria? Nocturia, no? Ayan. O, that's a sign of diabetes, no? Pagka meron kang 3 P's na tinatawag. Polyphagia, polydipsia, and polyuria. And of course, hyperglycemia. Ayun ang pinaka-importante, no? Laging mataas ang blood sugar level mo. Kasama rin dyan yung weight loss, ayan, weakness, numbness. Okay? That's one of the reason why we perform FBS. No, FBS means fasting blood sugar. Okay? What about hypoglycemia? So hypoglycemia is a medical condition wherein glucose level into the blood becomes lower than usual or than normal. No? So technically, pag sinabi nating hypoglycemia, the level of the glucose is less than 50 milligrams. No? Yan. And actually, hypoglycemia may also happen among the diabetic patient. No? Yung sudden na bumabagsak yung kanilang blood sugar. Actually, mas fatal yun. No? Yung biglang bumabagsak yung blood sugar. Mas nakakamatay yun kaysa sa hyperglycemia. And hyperglycemia, medyo matagal pa ang ano yan eh. Kumbaga, complication. No? Hindi pa siya maglilit agad to death. No? Ayan. Ang pwedeng mangyari dyan yung amputation, gangrene, and then may result to amputation, diabetic blindness, no? Polyneuropathy, ano pa, atherosclerosis, ayun ang mga chronic complications of diabetes. Matagal pa yon, no? Pero pag hypoglycemia, biglang bumaba ang glucose, walang kakainin yung mga cells, mamamatay sila, no? And that can lead to the death, no? Ayan. Kaya siya tinawag na mas fatal. Hyperglycemia may occur as a result of diabetes mellitus. No? Yan. Or DM. Meron po ba sa inyo may DM? No? Diabetes mellitus, yung tinatawag natin mga media. No? Pagka nasa OPD ka na nasa hospital ka na, kunyari bibiruin mo yung mga pasyente. O sino po dito yung mga media? Kukuhaan na po kayo ng dugo. Magtataka siya, anong media? No? Nandito ba sila Doris Begornia? Sila Julius Babaw? Ni diabetes. Yan. O, magtatawanan yung mga pasyente. No? Lalo na yung mga matatanda. Diabetes pala ang tinutukoy niya. No? Ni diabetes. O, kaya naman Nadia. Na diabetes. Yan. Sila ang mga frequent na nagpapa-FBS. Inpatient receiving intravenous glucose fluid. No? Kaya natin hindi pwede kuhain yung may IV line eh. Kasi their IV fluid may contain dextrose, no, or the glucose. So instead na ang ma-measure mong glucose is the glucose into the blood, no, ang na-measure mo yung galing sa IV fluid. And for that, you need to transfer into other side, no, or during severe stress, no, kasi in severe stress may mga tinatawag tayo ng stress hormones, no, na pwedeng mag-increase ang secretion during this state, no, state of stress. Yan. Yung mga stress hormones po na yan, they are hyperglycemic agent. No? Pinapataas nila yung blood sugar level mo so that meron kang magamit, no, to fight that stress. No? Kailangan nagkukos siya ng hyperglycemia. Example ng mga hyperglycemic agent na yung epinephrine, norepinephrine, or tinatawag natin na fight and flight hormones. No? Sa fight and flight response natin. Okay. Hypoglycemia. It may be the result of an insulinoma. Pag mababa naman raw ang blood glucose level, it can be caused by the condition called the insulinoma. Insulinoma is a tumor that is in the pancreas, no? And that tumor is producing its own, or tinatawag natin na peptide, no? That peptide mimic the functioning of the insulin, no? So ang effect niya is pababain rin yung blood sugar. So yung tumor nagpo-produce siya ng ganung peptide, no? Causing the hypoglycemia. Okay? Insulin administration. Baka naman kaka-inject niya lang ng insulin, no? Saka mo siya kinuhaan ng dugo. Baliktad, no? Kailangan puwaan mo muna siya ng dugo. Ganyan sa mga may diabetes, no? Much better if they will get first a blood glucose, no, test first for blood glucose before administering insulin. Kasi baka masyado nang mababa pa rin yung glucose sa blood, no? Saka ka pa nag-administer ng insulin. O lalong bababa yung blood glucose, no? An inborn error of carbohydrate metabolism. Just like for example yung type 1 diabetes, no? Or fasting. So fasting may cause hypoglycemia. But overfasting can also cause hyperglycemia. Pag masyado raw matagal ang iyong fast, pwede rin yung mag-cause ng hyperglycemia. No? Dahil yun sa tinatawag na gluconeogenesis. No? Gluconeogenesis. So gluconeogenesis is the production of glucose from non-carbohydrate sources. No? Kunyari, kinuha niya sa lactate. No? Kinuha niya sa fats. Kinuha niya sa amino acids from protein, yung glucose, no? Ang tawag natin doon is gluconeogenesis. Production of glucose from non-carbohydrate sources. Okay. So ayun po ang two main purpose ng FBS measurement, no? To determine if the individual have hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia. Okay. Measurement of blood glucose level was among the first chemical procedure employed in clinical medicine. Isa raw sa pinakaunang analyte, no, na tinest in clinical medicine, no, is the glucose, no. So based on history, paano nila ina-approximate yung level ng glucose into the specimen of the patient. So tingin niyo, paano nila tinetest yan? Ang lamig na ng Sige nga, section 4. Sa tingin niyo, paano nila mini-measure ang ina-approximate yung glucose into their sample? Meron ba kayong nalaman na history niyan? O sige nga, Miss Gonda, paano raw?
Ants po ba, sir?
Ha?
Ants po. Ano sa urine?
Ayan yung ants, no? Anong gagawin sa ants?
Kuha po siya ng urine, tapos papaanin siya ng mga ants.
Correct, no? O titignan nila yung ihi ba niyan nilalanggam, no? Ayan. Isa yung sa mga indicators na ano, na mataas ang blood sugar. Kaya lang yung langgam ninyong ihi, late na yon, no? Late ng indication yan ng problem into glucose metabolism, no? Kumbaga na-reach niya na kasi yung tinatawag na ah, glucose threshold ng kidney, no? Which is 180 milligrams per deciliter. Masyado nang mataas yung 180. Pag umabot ng 180, dun lang lalabas yung glucose to the urine, no? Ayan. Pero not to the point na lalanggamin ka agad siya, no? Pag sinabing nilanggam na, masyadong mataas na yung glucose, no? Kumbaga na overpower na ng glucose yung mga sodium, chloride, potassium doon sa urine. To the point na matamis na talaga siya, nilalanggam na siya, no? Ano pa? Oh, tinitikman raw, no? Kaya lang yung mga ganun, that is very inaccurate. And tandaan nyo, meron tayong tinatawag na universal precaution, no? We must treat all of the specimen that we receive in the laboratory as potentially infectious. No, hindi na po pwedeng gawin yun, titikman, no? And, o siguro yung sa langgam, pwede pa, kaya lang mataas na masyado yung level ng glucose pagkagal. Ayan. So these are the people, no, who develop methods in glucose measurement. Kindly be familiarize yourself, no, with this individual na mababanggit natin. Glucose oxidase methodology was first introduced by Kaelin and Hartree, no, in 1948. That's actually the main enzyme, no, in our method for today. Keystone later reported the use of the combined glucose oxidase and peroxidase for glucose measurement. No? Si Keystone raw, nag-add pa siya ng another reagent. That's the peroxidase enzyme. Followed by Teller, the addition of the chromogenic reagent. This chromogenic reagent is the phenol. No? Tumutulong yan in the production of the colored product. No? The standby single reagent glucose method is based on a technique described by Trinder et al. No? Wherein si Trinder, pinakombine niya yung method ni Kaelin and Hartree, si Keystone, and also by Teller. No? And that's the method that is followed by our procedure for today. No? This is the specific reaction. The glucose raw is oxidized by the presence of the enzyme glucose oxidase. No? The GODase, no, or GOD. Yan. Inoxidize niya yung beta-delta glucose, no? Nasaan ang glucose? So glucose is in the sample, no? Hindi po yan included to the reagents, no? Yan. Under the influence of the peroxidase with the phenol and 4-amino antipyrine to form the red-violet quinone complex. This is the reaction. The beta-delta glucose plus the water and oxygen through the action of the glucose oxidase, so it will yield the hydrogen peroxide and the D-gluconic acid. The hydrogen peroxide is further reacted with the 4-amino antipyrine and phenol, and with the aid of the enzyme peroxidase, it will yield a colored compound known as the quinone complex. Quinone complex have a red-violet color. So sabi, the intensity of the color produced, which is the red-violet, no, is proportional to the glucose concentration. Mas darker raw, no, mas matingkad yung kulay na napuproduce sa reaction, that is directly proportional, no, directly related to the glucose concentration into the sample. Mas maraming glucose ang nandun sa ating sample. These are the content, no, component of our glucose reagent. So it have a vapor, phenol, the chromogenic reagent, 4-amino antipyrine, then the two enzymes, glucose oxidase and peroxidase, also have non-reactive ingredients and the preservative. As a preservative, so specifically, it uses the sodium azide. Sodium azide. So this sodium azide is highly toxic, especially when it is ingested. No? Very toxic raw yan. No? And sodium azide may bind with the copper and lead. Forming the metal azide. A metal azide is an explosive substance. No? Kaya hindi natin siya pwedeng basta i-drain sa sink. No? Kasi pwede siyang dumikit. No? Pwede siyang mag-combine with the metals, no, that is in the, na pwedeng ma-expose yung reagent na to, no, and form the metal azide na pwedeng sumabog, no. Explosive substance raw yung tinatawag na metal azide, no. Ayun yung tipong sa laboratory bigla na lang may sumasabog no. Ayun pala yung reagent may ganyan, sodium azide. Then exposed to other metals, no, na nagre-react siya, saka siya sumasabog, no. For any risk, no, health risk, safety precautions, no, hazard associated to that particular component of the reagent. So tinitignan po natin sa tinatawag na MSDS, no, the material safety data sheets. Yan. So into this method, we will also use glucose standard, no? And it have the same value as the standard that we use in a Dubosky method. So the value of the standard is 100 milligrams per deciliter, no? Or in millimoles per liter, that is equivalent to 5.55 millimoles per. Remember that our conversion factor is 0.055. No? Yeah. So again, minumultiply natin yung milligrams per deciliter to 0.055 to convert it into millimoles per liter. Kung baliktad naman yung millimoles to milligrams per deciliter, dinidivide naman po natin siya. No? Especially ang mga Pilipino po, they are familiar only to conventional unit. No? Kasi yung milligrams per deciliter, that is in conventional unit. Yung millimoles per liter, that is SI. No? Ayan. So, kunyari, ang result mo, 5 millimoles per liter, magtataka yung matanda. No? Sasabihin ng matanda, bakit ganyan yung resulta ko? Ang karaniwan kong resulta is 100, 95, 90. Bakit ganyan ang reading mo? 5. So, hindi niya alam na ka-express siya in millimoles per liter. No? Kasi nga tayong mga Pilipino, mas ginagamit natin yung conventional. So, you have to be familiarize yourself with that. No? Okay? So, in our activity later on, so I want you to express the result in milligrams per deciliter and millimoles per. Okay? Reagent storage and stability. Reagent trial may last up to its expiration date when placed at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. No? So pwede raw mag-last until expiration date yung glucose reagent when it is properly stored at the refrigerator temperature. Kung sinabi natin refrigerator temperature, that is 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. No? As long as that the reagent do not have presence of particulate matter, no? Turbidity, milkiness, discoloration, precipitates, no? So, okay yung reagent na yan. Okay? Yan. Same thing with the standard, so it can last until its expiration date when placed at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Yan. What about the glucose? The glucose into the serum or plasma will last for up to 48 hours or 2 days when placed at refrigerator temperature or for long-term preservation. Yan. So serum with the glucose is stored at negative 20 degrees Celsius. So negative 20 degrees Celsius is the freezer temperature. Okay? Ano pa ba? By the way, this method can also be used not only for serum but also for plasma and the CSF. But for the CSF, kailangan siyang i-read immediately. No? You cannot store it at refrigerator or at freezer. No? So kailangan nasa ano siya? Nasa or immediately i-read natin siya. Are you still listening? Parang kumukonti ang section 4 ah. Ayan, 33 na lang, kanina 36 tayo. Mawawala yung iba. Sige, ano tayo ulit? Attendance later. Specimen collection and storage. Our specimen of choice is non-hemolyzed serum. No? Although we can also use plasma. For plasma, the anticoagulant of choice is the fluoride. No? Fluoride po ang ating anticoagulant of choice. Because fluoride do not only prevent coagulation, but also the process of glycolysis. No? Ini-prevent niya yung tinatawag na glycolysis or the breakdown of the glucose into the sample. Although we can use other anticoagulants, no? Like for example, EDTA, heparin. Basta yung ano mo, yung plasma mo is immediately removed from the form elements. No? Para yung mga form elements na yun, hindi na i-degrade pa yung glucose that is in the sample. No? Yan. For the serum, so again, allow it to clot for 30 minutes, no? And then after 30 minutes, centrifuge, immediately remove also the serum from the form elements. Is there any interfering substance to this method? No? Yes. That is excessive intake of ascorbic acid. No? Kasi yung excessive ascorbic acid may cause falsely decreased value for glucose. Falsely decreased value for the glucose. Let's go with the manual. This is the procedure now for glucose determination using the standby reagent, no? Using the glucose oxidase. Let's start with the two tubes. Let's say meron tayong dalawang tubes. Yan. You know na how to label in clean chem, no? Number 1, the analyte, glucose. Glucose. This tube is for the standard, and this tube is for the unknown. Let's say this is for the group 2. Group 2. Ayan. Maging group 2 ah. Ano raw gagawin? Zero the spectrophotometer at 500 nanometer using distilled water. No? So ang pang-zero po ng ating spectro for blanking is the water blank. No? And we need to set the absorbance of the spectro to 500 nanometer. If you will recall, to Dubosky method, 600 po ang gamit. No? Pero distilled water rin ang gamit na pang blanking. No? Ayan. For each of the tubes, the standard and the sample, add 1 ml of the glucose reagent. No? And then pre-warm at 37 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. So maglagay raw tayo ng 1 ml glucose reagent. 1 ml glucose reagent. Same thing here, 1 ml glucose reagent. Anong next raw? Pre-warm at 37 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. Because take note, this reagent came from the refrigerator, no? Doon siya naka-store eh. So kailangan i-pre-warm muna siya bago tayo maglagay ng sample, no? Then add 10 UL of the sample to each of its respective test tubes. For the standard, hindi sample lang ilalagay natin, but 10 UL of the standard reagent. Standard. O dito naman 10 UL of the serum, no? 10 UL. Okay? Yeah. So by the way, 10 UL is equivalent to how many ml? That is 0.01 ml, no? 0.01 ml. O, remember sa Dubosky, 50 UL ang ginamit dito, mas maliit, 10 UL. Then return to the dry bath, incubate it at 37 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. No? Then after that 5 minutes, read and record the absorbance of the tubes. Kunin mo na. Well, like for example, the absorbance of the unknown is 0.370 or the standard 0.280. Yan. So pwede na natin computein yung value ng ating glucose. So glucose in milligrams per deciliter. This is the formula is equals the absorbance of the unknown divided by the absorbance of the standard times the value of the standard, which is 100 milligrams per deciliter. No? I-transpose lang natin yan, 0.370, 0.280 as the absorbance of the standard times the value of standard. So that is equals to 132 milligrams per deciliter. Mataas ba yung 132 milligrams per deciliter? Yes. No? Medyo mataas po yan. So that is interpreted as hyperglycemia or above the reference range. So I want you to express your answer in milligrams per deciliter and in millimoles per liter. No? Diyan po ang gagamitin natin. So paano natin siya i-express in milligrams per deciliter to millimoles per liter? I'll just use the conversion factor 0.055. No? And then, yung answer, ma-express na in millimoles per liter. Okay? Just multiply it with the conversion factor 0.055. Okay? What's the reference range for the glucose into the serum or plasma? So the expected value, according to the reagent standby, is quite different from the reference range that is given by propane, no, yung Dubosky method natin. Doon ang normal value is 65 to 110 milligrams per deciliter. Dito mas maliit yung range niya, no? Kasi basically ang enzymatic is much specific, no? Ayan. So that is 70 to 105 milligrams per deciliter. For CSF, that is 40 to 75 milligrams per deciliter. Bakit ganun, sir? Magkaiba ng reference range. Nangyayari rin yan sa iba't ibang laboratory, no? Kunyari, nagpa-test ka sa gantong laboratory, lumipat ka sa kabila, no? Then, try mo rin magpa-test sa iba, no? Kasi nga, isa kang media, no? Lagi ka nagpapatest ng blood sugar. Napansin mo, nung pag pinagharap-harap mo na sila, yung kanilang mga lab results, iba-iba yung kanilang reference range, no? Ayan. Bakit pwedeng mangyari yun, no? Number one, because of the difference in the reagent use, no? Pwede yung ginamit ng isa, enzymatic method. Yung isa, chemical method. O magkaiba ng reference range. Now, number two, instrument use, no? So pwede yung isang method is semi-automated, no? Yung isa fully automated, yung isa manually performed, no? Ayan. Number three, characteristic of the local population, no? Because supposedly ang mga laboratory, they will conduct a population study, no? Kukunin nila yung pinaka mean value ng glucose sa mga healthy individual into that particular population, no? Pag nakita nila yung mean or average range ng kanilang glucose level, doon nila pwedeng gamitin, no, yung data na yon in setting their reference range, no? Ayun pong tatlo ang nakaka-apekto in the differences, no, of the reference range to different techniques or laboratory. Reagent use, instrument, and also the characteristic of the local population. So into our experiment later, no, to the performance task, magbibigay po tayo dun ng values na siyang gagamitin nyo in our computation. And so, kindly include also a demographic information. Sinabi natin demographic information. So that pertains to all of the pertinent information about the patient. No? Paki-include po yan. Hahanapin po yan. And then computation and then interpretation. Then after that, meron rin tayong critical thinking questions. Sasagutan din po natin yan, no? So that is a part of our performance test. Then later on, meron po tayong quiz, no? Quiz, short quiz about this topic, no? So we will have it later pa, no? Pagka nakagawa na kayo ng ating performance task, no? So by the way, before going to our performance task, so meron tayong video, no, on the actual procedure for performing this test, no, the glucose determination using the StanBio agent. Panoorin po natin, no? Ako rin yung nagdi-discuss dyan. I-compare nyo nga po saan kaya mas maganda. Is it online or face-to-face? Ako compare nyo yan ngayon, no? Kasi before, wala talagang face-to-face, no? Nag-face-to-face naman, baka naman, mahawa ka ng COVID, no? Kaya
so our activity for today will be about
kung ano mas effective. About the face ba or this methodology. Yeah. So by the way, this is the procedure, no?
So our activity for today will be about the glucose determination. These are the materials that we need. Number 1 is the glucose reagent supplied by the StanBio, containing the glucose standard, the glucose reagent. We also need pipetors of different volume, disposable tips, cuvettes. We need 3 cuvettes, 1 for the water blank, standard, and the unknown or the sample. We also need 3 tubes, 1 for the water blank, the standard, and then the unknown. Of course, we need the spectrophotometer and the water blank. Now, I have already the serum that is separated from the whole blood. The sample must be extracted after the patient has fasted for at least 8 hours. Now, according to the instruction given by the StanBio, we need to dispense 1 ml or 1000 UL of the glucose reagent. So let's set the pipetor to 1000 UL. Then carefully dispense the glucose reagent to the standard and the unknown tube. Then dispense the fuse tip into the bleach solution. Now let's put a standard reagent to the standard tube. This one. So according to the instruction, we need to add 10 UL or 0.01 ml of the standard reagent to the standard tube. So let's set the pipetor. This is the glucose standard. Carefully aspirate and dispense the reagent to the tube. let's put a parafilm. The purpose of the parafilm is to prevent evaporation and also contamination of the tube. Mix gently. Then for the unknown tube, so we will add same volume of the serum with the amount or volume of the standard. So it is 10. Then discard the used tip into the bleach solution. Our bleach solution is our inactivating agent. Then put a parafilm into the unknown tube. Then gently mix. Then let's incubate all the tubes at 37 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. So let's set the timer. After 5 minutes, so we can now get all the tubes from the water bath. Then dispense the content into the cuvette. Let's start with the water blank. The standard. And the unknown. Then set the spectrophotometer to absorbance. So in this case, it is already set to A or absorbance. Then set the wavelength to 500 nanometer. By turning this knob, okay, so it is already 500 nanometer. So we can now put all the cuvettes into the compartment of the spectrophotometer. Open the lid. So let's put first the water blank into the first compartment. So make sure that the arrow of the cuvette is facing the detector. And always wipe the wall of the cuvette. Followed by the standard, same thing. Wipe the wall. Make sure that the arrow is facing the detector. Then lastly, the unknown. Then close the lid. So again, to the first compartment, we have our water blank, which will be used to zero the absorbance. To the second compartment, the standard. And then to the third is the unknown or the sample. Now to set the readings of the spectrophotometer to 0, so let's press the button for blank T. So after that, it must show 0.000. So meaning the absorbance now of the spectrophotometer is set to 0. So its purpose is to delete the previous reading of the spectrophotometer. Now to get the absorbance of the standard, so let's pull the knob once. So the detector now is focused to the standard tube. So note for the absorbance of the standard. And then let's get the absorbance of the unknown. by again pulling the knob to the third compartment which have the unknown tube. Note for the absorbance of the unknown tube. After that, so we can now remove all the cuvette to the spectrophotometer and clean all the cuvettes. Using the absorbance, we can now compute for the value of the glucose.
Okay, so that's it, no? Ayan, so that's our video demonstration on how to manually perform our glucose determination using the standby, no? Again, so you have to be familiarized with that method because next meeting in our laboratory, so we will have a uh, what do you call that? Practical quiz, no? Regarding to this topic. I-perform nyo rin po siya next week. Yan. Para ma-experience nyo rin kung paano gawin yung method na yan, no? Ayan. So, reviewin po ito, no? So, we will have a performance task po, no? That will be published later on into our Canvas. Excuse me po. Yeah. So, please answer it. Meron po yung computation and also critical thinking questions. And then later on in our after you submitted your answer to the performance task, magkuquiz po tayo, no? Dahil maikli lang naman yung ating performance task. Mag-review po kayo after, no? And then we will have a short quiz later, mga 10 items, no, 1 point each. So maybe we will have it by mga 6 p.m., no? 6 p.m. So it's only 2:30. So matagal-tagal na preparation. Okay? Sige po. So kung wala nang concern, so pwede na pong mag-leave ng ating Zoom. Then start answering our performance tasks. See you later by